1:04 and we've caught up with folks joining. I will go ahead and mute all and remind folks and Greg, our guest speaker today, that we are recording. I will eliminate personal health information as best I can. So now I'm going to mute all and turn it over to Steve. Greetings from Seabrook Island on a beautiful day.
All right, I found my unmute button on my iPad. Cecil's welcoming you from Seabrook Island. I'm welcoming you from Jacksonville, Florida. Actually, just a little bit of south of Jacksonville. Mary and I drove down yesterday to visit with her sister. So good to see everybody. And I'm trying to stay out of this fan behind me. I want to clear up one thing about Stephen's photo that was in the spoke last week and this week. That was the day that he and I shaved our heads, supporting his sister and my daughter for her chemotherapy stuff. So he's grown his hair back, and you can tell from last week he's added some to his beard too. Well, you said you'd like to start off with talking a little bit about this service yesterday. Sorry, I was not able to attend.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. There were several of our Rotary members that were there yesterday, and it was really just a great day of celebrating Mark Clasby's life and all that he's meant to this community. And what's really, when you think about it, sort of a short period of time, he just came here and chose to get involved right away. And man, what a difference he's made in our entire county and region. And so it was just a great day. And I guess the one thing I wanted to share with you, not everybody went to the cemetery, but when we got to the cemetery and Reverend Chris Westmoreland was having his final remarks and had really started a prayer, about middle ways through the prayer, you begin to hear this hum of an airplane, and it got louder and it got louder. And I'm not sure what kind of plane that was that flew over, but I couldn't help but open my eyes and look up. And everyone in that was seated with the family, and around the graveside, there was a big smile on their face. And I just reflected, you know, as it relates to Mark Clasby's life, it is well with his soul. And so we couldn't have timed that any better if we'd have had a flyover already arranged with the military, which I've done before, but this one was nailed. So here's to Mark.
Thank you, Wells. Any other concerns we need to include in our invocation this afternoon? Stacey, you'll have to let me look. I can only see 16 people.
I do not see anyone waving at us at this moment.
All righty. Let's see. Jeff said he's going to be doing the invocation today for Karen. So I'll turn it over to Jeff Mink.
All right. Thank you. Pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day. We thank you for the rain and the many blessings that you've given to us. We thank you for family, friends, and loved ones. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to live in the beautiful mountains of Western North Carolina, where we can truly appreciate your wonderful creation. You are an awesome God. As Rotarians, Lord, we just thank you for the opportunity to be part of this fellowship and to serve this community. Give us your strength and wisdom in everything that we do, and help us to be sensitive to the needs of others. Please continue to bless us with your spirit and help us to build goodwill, better friendships, understanding, and cooperation in our community. We pray for our nation and that you give our leaders wisdom, understanding, and courage to do what is right to strengthen this great nation. In these things we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Jeff. And Ed LaFontaine is our Sergeant at Arms for the month. So I'll turn over to Ed for our pledge and four-way test.
Well, if you can join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, President Steve.
Thank you, Past President Ed. Let's move to Happy Dollars. Anybody have a Happy Dollars donation for today?
Yes, I'd like to make a happy dollar. This is Larry Leatherwood. I'd like to pledge $10 in memory of and in celebration of my father's 110th birthday. If he'd been alive, he'd be 110 today. So I think that not just my father, Ron's also celebrated his birthday.
Very good, Larry. Any others?
Gordon is waving. Unmute yourself, Gordon.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, this is my wife's birthday today, and I want to kick in $10 for, hope we'll have enough left to feed all the family coming.
Very good, Gordon. Well, I'm going to
I'll
put
do
in
$10, $5 each for my 2 cataract surgeries I've had the last 2 Mondays. I'm grateful for skilled people that can do that and attentive staff that took care of me. If any of you need it and are worried about having it, call me and I'll tell you how easy it is.
I'd like to do 10 also. So now Larry spoke to Lawrence Boone Leatherwood. I'd like to go with Wells and $10 for when you're standing there. $5 of that is for the 6 guys that carried the Mark's casket over to the grave. And we were standing there. And then I can't tell you as well as Wells did about hearing that jet go over. Just, I looked straight up. I'm sorry, I left my phone in the truck because I was going to take a picture of it just so we'd all be able to share that. But it was a big jet and it was going over and roaring to Mark's, taking him to the next level. I know he'd already gone, but he forgot something, so it's taking it to him. But it was a tremendous feeling.
I couldn't see who was making the $10 for their cataract surgery. I almost recognized the voice, but who was that?
Sandy Giles.
Oh, Sandy. Should recognize that voice. I've heard it from the pulpit.
Do we have others who have some happy dollars that Steve can't see?
I'm going to put in $10 for the outstanding program that we had last week. I was very proud of Stephen, and you can tell he's a little bit enthusiastic about what he's doing, and that's great. He really has found a love for his work and is doing a pretty darn good job. Any others?
We have no one else waving at us.
All righty. Now, Jeff, when he interrupted earlier, I thought he was going to say he was going to introduce the program today, but he didn't say that. So I'll turn it over to John Keith to introduce our program for the day.
Thank you, Steve. It's an honor to introduce our program today, but I do need to share with you, I hadn't intended to introduce Greg, and I'd like to share one last story with the club about Mark. It was 3 weeks ago, Greg, that I contacted Mark. We all know as chairman of your board at the hospital to just touch base as to whether or not it was appropriate to invite you now after pandemic settling down and giving you time. You've been on our radar for some time. And Admittedly, when I called 3 weeks ago, I had no idea Mark was at a point working so hard on his chemo. He knew he had to have some additional surgery. And just like Mark, I said, well, Mark, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll give him a call and I'll take care of it. No, I'll be talking to him. I'll call and, talk. Even in his last moments, he was giving back to our community, to the hospital, and saying he'd take care of it at a time where I can't imagine he even answered my call. We all know Mark personally. He was a great member of Rotary. He was a great member of our community and a great father, and I know he was a great chairman. With that, he would want us to go on and do the work that we're doing and you're doing. And so it's an honor to bring you today. And I just wish Mark were here. He almost made it, but I'm sure he's listening to us now. Greg comes to us as the CEO of our Haywood Regional Medical Center with a great deal of experience. He's been with us at our hospital since September of last year, but he is a veteran of much experience, having leadership positions at hospitals across the nation for over 3 decades. Prior to joining HRMC, he served as CEO of the Coliseum Northside Hospital in Macon, Georgia, served in the role of Chief Operating Officer of Grand Strand Health in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, CEO of Summit Medical Center in Hermitage, Tennessee, COO of Emory Johns Creek Hospital in Johns Creek, Georgia, and CFO of Eastside Medical Center in Snellville, Georgia. He has earned a BA in accounting from the University of West Florida in Pensacola and an MBA from the University of Georgia in Athens. He is a fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executives and has served as the president of the Middle Tennessee chapter. He's also served on the boards of several organizations, including the Greater Macon Chamber of Commerce, the Central Georgia American Heart Association, United Way, YMCA, Georgia Perimeter College Foundation, and has volunteered for many other charitable organizations. He enjoys spending time with his wife Pam and their 3 sons and grandson. Greg, the only thing I think that might improve this bio would be if Mark were here, he'd say, membership in the Waynesville Rotary Club. So we'll have to work on that. We really welcome you today. I wish Mark were here to hear you speak, but he highly recommended you, and welcome to the Waynesville Rotary Club.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that introduction and for getting the opportunity to get to talk to you today. And yes, I would be delighted to join your Rotary. I'm hoping that it won't be long and you'll be meeting back in person again. I know that you must all miss that. I know it's been an unusual time for a lot of people in really all cities and places across the country over the last year or so. But looking forward to meeting those of you in person that I haven't met yet. I do see some familiar faces. So again, thank you for inviting me to this, and thanks for that introduction. My wife Pam and I have thoroughly enjoyed being here. We did come on September 30th, was my first day here at Haywood Regional. And so it's been about 7 months, and we have just really loved the Western North Carolina mountains, and just the community here has been so welcoming and wonderful for us. And we're also very close to our sons that you mentioned. I've got 3 adult sons, and they all live in Tennessee. 2 of them are in East Tennessee, 1 in Knoxville and 1 in Chattanooga. And my grandson is in Chattanooga, so it's very convenient for us. My wife was able, as an example, to go there this week to help out with them when he had croup this week. He's 20 months old, so it's been wonderful being here for a lot of reasons, and not the least of which is being a part of the hospital. Thanks for the tribute to Mark as well. I know that you all have known him a lot longer than I have, but I can tell you in my short time here, he has impressed upon me how important he has been to the history of Haywood Regional ever since the 90s. And without his leadership, I would hate to think where the hospital would be today, honestly, because I know he helped through many difficult times. And so I will miss him a lot, and I know all of you will as well. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Did it show up? Okay, great. Thank you. Well, I'll spend a little time just talking about our hospital. Very proud of it, proud of the people here. I won't spend a lot of time telling you who we are, because I think that those of you that have been here for a while probably have a very good sense of who Haywood Regional is and what we do. I'll spend some time on that, but I'll probably spend a little bit more time talking about the year ahead and some of the things that are important to us right now as we move ahead in 2021 and past the pandemic. So this is something that I share with our new employees and others who are just getting familiar with the hospital, and give some quick facts and information about the hospital. As you know, of course, we've been serving this community for over 90 years, which began back at the Haywood County Hospital, which is shown in the picture at the bottom left, and then for the past several decades has been on our current campus, which is at the bottom right, a beautiful campus here with several buildings and several other things that are outside of the hospital's four walls. We're very proud to be the third largest employer in Haywood County. I think that shows that we have a lot of impact here in a lot of ways. Our staff are very involved with many things within the county, and provide a lot of what goes on here. Very proud of the fitness center. It unfortunately spent probably 5 to 6 months idle last year during the pandemic, but the people there have weathered that storm very well. We've been welcoming back our members ever since October, and continue to see that improve as time goes on, and people are feeling more and more comfortable, especially with the advent of the vaccine and how that's been so available to people to help everyone feel more confident to get back out into the public again. We've got the 3-story outpatient care center, which is on our campus, a beautiful facility with the ambulatory surgery center that does those cataract surgeries that were mentioned before, as well as many other things. We have 58 providers in our 12 physician clinics, and that's growing now, and I'll get to that in a little bit with some of the recent or soon-to-be arrivals to our staff here. And then, as important as anything for me to mention, is just the partnership that we have with Duke-Lifepoint, and what that has meant to this hospital and this community. Really outstanding affiliation with the strengths of two organizations that just have a lot to bring to this community and to the hospital. This is some of the specialties that we offer here. I won't read all of them, just point out a few things. Interventional cardiology and peripheral vascular are fairly new services for us, and I think probably still becoming known to the community that they're offered here. Dr. Mike Miller joined us in 2019, and he provides those services here. Very skilled physician who has a real passion for the work that he does, and has brought quite a bit to the table as far as Haywood is concerned. We have infectious disease through a medicine offering that we have through Duke. And so that's also been something that has been very helpful to us, especially during the pandemic. I think their consults were valuable to us as our hospitals were dealing with different ways of treating COVID and other things that were coming through our doors. And so that's something that began in 2020 and has been very successful. Nephrology also began in 2020. We have a good relationship with Mountain Kidney out of Asheville. Those physicians have been very engaged with us since they began in May of 2020, and are helping us now with a lot of things. Some of the accolades to brag about here, I mentioned the partnership that we have with Duke-Lifepoint. I think that there's been, over the last 8 years of that partnership, a lot of work that's gone on from the Duke side as well as the LifePoint side of that affiliation that have helped us to really raise the bar here as far as the quality of care and the patient safety that we deliver. So just recently we were elevated from a 4-star to a 5-star quality rating with CMS, which is the top 14% of hospitals in the country. So a lot of great work here has gone into that. Leapfrog is something that is a national consortium of employers that's been around for about 25 years, and they look at a lot of indicators of patient safety and quality outcomes, and then provide a grade to every hospital in the country based on that publicly available data. And so we just recently received our 7th A grade in a row from Leapfrog, and so a lot of great work has gone into that. Earlier this year, Health Grades, which is another national organization that spends a lot of time rating hospitals on the quality of work that they provide, they acknowledged Haywood Regional as one of America's 250 best hospitals. So another great honor that the people here have earned through their hard work. And then also at the beginning of the year, we were added to Blue Distinction's, Blue Cross's Blue Distinction Center for Maternity Care. We have had that for orthopedics, and so now also for maternity. So very, very proud of that. Other things as well, various accreditations and honors that the hospital has earned. Some of our new physicians that we have had either begin last year or this year, as I mentioned, nephrology. So we've got 4 nephrologists that are a part of that group. We have Tracy Lombard, who's a pediatrician who joined us last year and is doing a great job, I think, in helping us in that service line. He's very engaged and involved with the community already. Austin Albright joined us as pain management specialist, and he is doing a great job in our pain center. Dr. Chris Porter began in Midway last year as family medicine. Dr. Ben Stepp joined our family medicine practice in Canton in February, replacing Tony Jones, who had been there for a number of years. And Dr. Stepp is doing a great job in that location. And then we've got some that are coming up in just a few months as they finish their fellowships. We've got Dr. Luke Bidikoff, who's a urologist, will be joining us at the beginning of September. Dr. Arnie Silverberg, who is ortho total joint, who will be coming in mid-August. And then Dr. Thane Campbell will also be joining Midway in family medicine in mid-August as well. We've got several others that are in discussions with us right now, and I anticipate that we'll be adding some additional physicians to that list before the next few months are over. So we look at the year ahead, want to talk just a little bit about 4 areas: quality and service, growth, talent, and innovation. So for patient safety and quality, some of the priorities that we're looking at this year as we go forward are on your screen. So sepsis treatment and prevention is one of our top priorities. We've been working on this for a while. It's across the country. It's one of the leading causes of death, and sepsis is, but a lot of research and evidence-based practice has been brought into healthcare over the last several years. And we're working on that as far as some of the protocols that we follow and some of the things that help us to detect sepsis early and begin treating it early so that there's a much higher survival rate. Falls prevention is another area that we're doing a lot with right now. It seems that we have more patients than we once did that are confused, or in some ways they're compromised from where they typically would be in their daily lives. And so we're doing a lot of things right now to just make sure that we're providing the right education, that we're identifying the risks of potential falls with patients, and then acting accordingly as far as how we provide their care and provide the things that they need to help themselves to prevent falls. Our patient experience is always one of the top line items for us as far as what's important, because that goes directly to our reputation management and how we're perceived within the community. Word of mouth is huge in a community like Haywood County. And so there were some things that were difficult for us as well as other hospitals last year when visitation was limited and communication with families was harder than it had ever been before. And so we've got some things now that we're trying to work on that help us to bring back our patient experience levels to what we had been accustomed to before that. And so there's a lot of grassroots effort with many staff that are involved with this to help us define what expected behaviors are and how the work that they do is tied to those behaviors. And so I'm real excited about the work that's going on with that. And we're already seeing some really strong performance this year as we look at our patient experience. And then readmissions is an area that is a challenge for all hospitals because we're a part of value-based purchasing with CMS and with others. And when patients are readmitted, it affects us in a financial way as well as just the issues that it causes for all the patients. And so we try to work with our local partners such as skilled nursing and with our physician practices to help us to get the follow-up care that's needed so that patients will not be readmitted quickly after they've been discharged from the hospital. So a lot of good work is going on in those areas. Some of our growth priorities as we look out into this year, behavioral health is one that we have been limited in as far as our capacity for about a year. And so recently, fortunately, we were able to increase our adult behavioral health unit capacity from what had been an 8 census to now we're able to go up to 17. And so that means about 30 additional admissions per month, patients that we are now able to see and help locally who were potentially having to be transferred somewhere that was a little further away. And so we're really glad that we have been able to improve on that. And we're working hard now to be able to get our geriatric side of the behavioral health floor back and running as well with a target date a few months down the road. We were given permission by the state in February to offer inpatient dialysis here, which is something that we believe is a very high need in this part of the state. There is no one west of Asheville that offers it. And there have been many times when it's been very difficult to get patients into beds where they can receive that kind of treatment. And so the state was very much on board with us being able to provide that service. We're working closely with the Mountain Kidney Nephrology group that joined us last year and are looking forward to having that up and running by July. Orthopedics is an area that we're continuing to grow our practice. I mentioned Dr. Silverberg, who's coming in August, who will be doing total joints. And we're also looking to expand in some other types of subspecialties such as hand and foot and ankle. GI is an area of top focus for us with recruitment right now as we're seeking to fill a position in that. I mentioned Dr. Bidikoff, who's joining us, a urologist in just a few months. So looking forward to him being here. Also a top priority for my search right now is pulmonology, and looking forward to having that one hopefully filled by the end of the year and having a better way of taking care of the patients that have that need. Our interventional radiologists are very highly skilled and offer a lot of services here that are really beneficial to our community. And they're continuing to do outreach and to seek patients who can be referred from all of Western North Carolina. They offer services that are only available here west of Asheville. And then our ER is a priority area for us. Like all hospitals in 2020, we saw a significant drop off in our ER volumes and are working on ways to bring that back to more of a normal level. And we've seen some really good improvement over the last several months with some of that volume beginning to return as people get a lot more comfortable getting their health care and being out with other people. One of the subjects to cover is about high performing talent, and just wanted to give you a little bit of information about something that we all struggle with within hospitals. And even before the pandemic, there were already some significant signs of a RN shortage across the country. And these are some of the top reasons for that. And 3 of them actually predate the pandemic. So there's been a shortage of nursing school faculty for some time that has hindered the ability to add additional nurses to the pipeline. So last year's class across the country had to turn away 80,000 qualified RN students because there weren't enough places for them in the programs that are offered in the country. And so that's quite a significant deficit of ability to fill those roles. There's been for several years a high percentage of RNs in the workforce that are nearing retirement age. And because it's such a physical job, many of them will retire from actual direct care nursing before they retire from nursing altogether. And so that has added to some of the issues. And then as our population ages, the demand continues to increase for the need for nurses across the entire spectrum of healthcare at hospitals, as well as skilled nursing, home health, and many other things. And so the demand has outpaced the supply. And then, of course, with the pandemic, there's been a tremendous amount of additional stress that's been brought onto nursing. Part of it is just due to the risks that were faced during a lot of last year, a lot of selfless activity across the country in nursing, knowing that they were potentially exposing themselves and their families even, brought on a lot of stress. And then staffing shortages that were the result of a lot of the previous things that I've mentioned have added to that. So it's been a very difficult time. We're starting to see some good things, though, happen just recently with our ability to fill positions. And we have a really good relationship with the schools and have some grad nurses that are lined up to start with us as soon as they get their licenses in June. And so I see some improvement and some light at the end of the tunnel, but it will remain a challenge for us for a while. And on the subject of innovation, I think this is probably the best innovation that I can think of over the last several months is just the vaccination efforts that have come about in Haywood County with just an incredible community collaboration. We've been very glad to be a part of that with the health department and other county agencies, including EMS and fire. And as you, I'm sure, have personally witnessed, the mass vaccination clinics have been a true model of efficiency and effectiveness. Many places, counties throughout North Carolina and even other states have looked at what has been done here to help them to have a better, more efficient and effective system. So I just give a lot of credit to many of the people here. We've had folks at our hospital that have been very deeply involved with it. They have a passion for it. We just recently actually said goodbye to a longtime employee here, Marty Stamey, who followed his passion to now work for MAHEC in the vaccination efforts for the 18 counties in Western North Carolina. So he developed a love for this effort, so much so that he decided he wanted to spend all of his time doing that for the next at least year. So lots of great things I think have come out of that, and it's truly been a way for us all to be closer together as a hospital and the county over these last several months. So great job from everyone. That's basically my presentation. Be glad to answer any questions you have or hear any comments that you might want to make.
Greg, if you'll stop your screen share, we'll bring up the gallery view where we can see folks. There we go. Questions for Greg?
Greg, very good presentation. I was very pleased to see your article. It was published in the editorial section, congratulating all the healthcare heroes we have here in your organization and in the county. Nursing shortages are nothing new. I served on a committee with MAHEC and so forth almost 40 years ago, trying to find ways to gain more nursing resources. Is there any chance that what needs to be done to get more nursing instructors to help handle those additional 80,000 potential nurses?
Well, I mean, I do think that that's one of the key areas, and we just need to continue to encourage people to enter that field and to want to be a part of passing along that knowledge and helping to increase the availability of nursing. It's something that has just been chronic. It was clearly an issue before the pandemic and has been for years, as you say. And I'm not really sure why that is. I think that a lot of nurses, of course, go into the field because they want to take care of people. They want to have that direct contact and be a part of the healing process. And so sometimes it might be a big shift for them to change that and to become a faculty member at a college. But I mean, we just want to continue to encourage that and to be supportive of efforts that make it easier for them to do it. Very glad to see what's happening over at HCC with their health sciences building that has now begun construction, and it's going to have some great facilities there. I think that will be a big help because they're almost an entire floor of it will be a sim lab, which is a big part of the training process for nurses as well as other technical staff that they have programs for. So I think that our community is doing the right thing in helping to expand that availability here. And I hope that will help to increase some of the young people in this area to go into nursing and to take that on as a profession.
Are there a whole lot fewer nursing programs now, or just limitations within the programs that exist?
I think there's limitations within the programs. I'm not really aware of too many that have ceased their programs. It's just they do tend to have limitations, and the demand just continues to go up year after year with the aging population, and it's a tough profession. It's patients on average that are in the hospital these days are sicker than they used to be because of the continued advancement of trying to get patients into other care settings, has put more into home health or other areas. And so those that are in the hospital are generally very, very sick. And so it's a hard job. It's one that it's rewarding, but it's not the easiest of jobs to have. And so I think that's one of the reasons why it's so hard to sometimes get enough nurses to fill our needs.
Big problem.
This is Paul Irvin. I wanted to ask you two questions, please. One is, do you actively recruit with the schools? I know so many of the young people today that I talk to, particularly the girls, are interested in going into healthcare. And I know some of them go to Haywood, some go to Western, some go to Southeastern, or anyway, the different community colleges. Do you have the ability to recruit on campus? That's my question. Or do you have to wait till they apply after they've graduated?
No, we go to them as much as possible, and we actually do work with all of those schools to have clinical rotations here, so that it's really a two-way street. It gives the students a chance to understand what Haywood Regional is all about, and it gives us a chance to also get to know some of these young, soon-to-be nurses. One thing that's important for me to mention is that as of last year, we began our own certified nursing assistant school. And so we've graduated 2 classes now. We had one in October and then one just in March. And so and many of those students that have gone into that program that we have been employees of ours who have been in some other field. Maybe they were in housekeeping. Maybe we've had a security guard that was a part of this last class. And so often what they do is they become a certified nursing assistant. And then while they're working in that role and providing assistants to our nurses and providing patient care, they go to nursing school. And so it helps us to start this kind of chain of people that can, eventually become nurses. And so I think that's been a really, really good thing for us. So we've graduated 12 students now in the fall and the spring into that program, and have employed all 12 of them. And so I think that's a big boost for us as we go forward, because they make really good nurses. They've lived life, and they understand what it is to do things that help them to achieve their goals. And so that's something that I'm really proud of. Our Chief Nursing Officer, Susan Mahoney, has been very instrumental in that. But I mean, to get back to your question, yes, we're proactive, and we very much get out there with those students. We've got 14 that are already committed to us for the class that will begin work in June, and we've got a goal of 6 more, so 20 is what we hope to get, and I think we'll get there.
Who should we send a name and a contact information to if we know someone who's going into nursing or wants to, and maybe even be a high school senior? Because I'm hoping to keep a lot of our younger people in the county here who grew up here, and not sending them to Charlotte or Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay. But that would be helpful if there could be some way, because I know at our churches, and we're all in different churches, we from time to time have people approach us about their future. And it would be helpful to have someone that could contact them from a hospital if they're interested in nursing.
Well, I guess I would just start with Susan Mahoney, who's our CNO, and then she could get some of her directors to probably talk to these young people who, depending on what their interests are, and get them plugged into the information they need.
Okay, great. That's great. The other question, and I know I've kind of followed, is it HCA, the one that owns now Mission?
Yes.
Over the last 30 or so years, they've had their ups and downs. It looks like they're selling smaller hospitals and trying to increase profits, and the service seems to be going down. I don't want you to tear down HCA, but what do you see as because I'm thrilled that their service is coming to our area, that they don't have to go to Asheville or to Hendersonville or to Atlanta or to Charlotte. And I know we can't do everything, but do you see you being able to continue to do that and also do it at on a profitable basis?
I do. I mean, that to me is really what we're here for in the community, is to provide as many services that we can, and that we can do safely and with the highest quality. We've got a very high quality medical staff. I think they have over the years taken a lot of great care in who they bring into the club, I guess, so to speak, related to the hospital. And was one of the things that attracted me to it, was just the level of physician engagement. But we're working on those things. I mentioned inpatient dialysis. That's one good example of something that's going on right now that helps us to keep people closer to home. There are from our discussions with Mountain Kidney, who are the nephrologists that we're working with, there's about 150 current patients that are under their care that live west of Buncombe County. And so that's a lot of people that need regular routine care for inpatient dialysis. And that's the very kind of thing that we think we can deliver at a high quality level, and shouldn't have to travel that far to go to Asheville for their service. Many things are like that. I mentioned, as we continue to try to expand some of our orthopedic subspecialties, hand surgery, foot and ankle, those are things that really can be done really, really well here, because we have a tremendous orthopedic and spine team already. And so we're just looking to do the things that help us to round out the services that we have and to keep people close to home. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do. I didn't mention it, but I worked for HCA before coming here. And I have nothing but good things to say about the company that I used to work for. And You know, and everybody has had struggles throughout the past year, especially, I think. But I was attracted to what I see as the Duke-Lifepoint philosophy and the things that are important within not just this organization, but also the local hospital here. And so very glad to be here. I think that we've got a really bright future. I'm looking forward as this year continues to unfold as to what new things we'll be able to do and to continue to provide for the community.
Paul brought up that HCA seems to be selling some of their smaller facilities. I think maybe they're selling some of their older ones. Notice that Redmond Park has now been purchased by Advent Healthcare.
Yeah, Redmond Regional in Rome. Actually, the hospital that I came from is a part of a deal that was announced just a week ago.
Okay.
And I did not know that was coming. But that the two hospitals in Macon are being sold to Piedmont Healthcare, which is in Atlanta, as well as a hospital in the Atlanta area and Cartersville. And so, yeah, there's some changes going on within HCA, as I think they're probably trying to tighten up some of their strategy in the markets that they work within. And Atlanta was a difficult one for them because they were like a drop in the ocean with one hospital in such a huge metro area. Macon surprised me a little bit though, since I was just there not long ago.
Was the hospital in West Paces Ferry the one that they divested in Atlanta?
No, East Side Medical Center, which is, I was CFO there for a while, and actually it was very successful then, but it was pretty much all alone as far as HCA, in a huge city like Atlanta. It was just a different situation for HCA to be like that, because they usually tend to be number one or number two in a market.
Do we have other questions? John Keith?
I'd like to make a comment toward the end of this presentation, Greg. I've had the opportunity to deal with several different departments within your organization, and everything's fine with me, thank goodness. But one of the fun things I've done over the last 14 years is ask these service providers, physicians, technicians, how's the morale? And I want to report to you, in anticipation of you speaking today, that as of 3 weeks ago, when I went through the different departments, they all said that the morale was good. And I can tell you that's not always been the case. So it's important that your quality of care is where it is, and you've given that information, and the safety. But you can always kind of tell about a company how the employees feel. And if they feel good, I see a bright future for our hospital, and I commend you on that as well.
Well, thank you for that comment. It's good to hear that. I know that it's been a challenge going through what everybody has. We've had a lot of fun this week, it being hospital week, and so I'm glad that people could really join into some things that have been helped them to just have a little fun and be together. And it's good now to have some opportunities to be together and to not be as isolated. So I'll be heading out shortly to deliver some ice cream. So that would be kind of like our last thing for hospital week.
Right. George Thompson.
Yes. What, if any, is the relationship of Haywood Hospital to hospice? We have an active hospice program going on. How does it relate to the administration of the hospital?
Well, we have a joint venture for that. And so we have a relationship with that organization here, and they get with us at least quarterly to go over the operations and see how we can work together as we go forward.
Who is that provider now? What is the name of the company that is your partner?
It's named after the hospital, Haywood.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we also have dedicated hospice rooms in the hospital to take care of those patients as well.
Can I assume that the hospice facility that was abandoned but redefined is in active use by the hospital? Because many of us made contributions in order to make sure that we had a hospice facility, but the hospital has taken over that facility. Is it being productively in use?
The Homestead building.
Is that what you're referring to, the homestead?
Yes.
Yeah, we've got that. Now it's being used for an infusion center, wound center, and sleep lab. And it's very much in use. I would say, one of the things that we've done over the last several months was to add monoclonal therapy for COVID positive patients. And that's done at the infusion center at the homestead. And so that's been for patients that have not been hospitalized, but were COVID positive and needed to avoid hospitalization. And so that was very effective. And one of the innovations, I guess, that's come along during the pandemic.
Thank you.
Final questions? Steve, I see none.
All righty. Thank you again, Greg. Always love to hear an update on the hospital. It's part of the reason I came back here is because I knew the healthcare that was available here was outstanding. Seeing no more raised hands and no, Mike McKinney's just turning something on or off, I think. We will sign off for this week and see you next Friday. Thank you again, Greg. Look forward to having you in the club.
Thank you.